Hey, Songtown, it's good to be back. I'm Clay Mills here with Marty Dodson. Today, we've got 3 hats that every songwriter must wear. So, Marty, I heard you talk about this a couple of years ago, and it always fascinated me because I've never thought of it in these terms, but it's something every successful songwriter I know is able to do well. And so, kick it off.
So the first one is your creator hat. So that's the side of your brain.
This one?
Yes, exactly.
You're not wearing one.
I know. It's at home, creating. But the creator hat is where you're coming up with ideas, you're developing your ideas, you're coming up with creative lyrics to express those and creative melodies, all that kind of stuff. And when you're wearing that hat, like when I'm creating, I try to get rid of judgment. I try to get rid of criticism.
Yeah.
And I just let that creative part of my brain go. And I found that that's thinking of it that way it helps me kind of segregate things into the columns where they need to be. So like right now, I'm just creating. I don't have to edit. I don't have to think about is everything perfect. I'm just going with how it feels and all that kind of stuff. Do you do anything like that?
Yeah, so my approach has always been to think about where I hear melody, where does my ear want to take me? And I trust that and I go with it. And then after I write a verse and a chorus, maybe I step back and go, oh, that part in the chorus here was really hooky. The rest of this stuff is not so hooky, and I'll toss it. It's kind of this process of elimination. I write, I throw out what's not that special and keep the good stuff. And I keep doing that until I have something I'm proud of.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do, especially lyrically. Is just I get it all out, and it feels good, and then I come back to it with the next hat, which is my editor hat. And I kind of think of my editor as a 3-year-old that while I'm on a phone call. So if I want my 3-year-old to be quiet while I'm on a phone call, I give them something to do, and they go play with it, or I give them a treat, and they go play, and then they're going to come back to me. And that's the way my editor is. I don't want to just kick the editor out altogether, but I want my editor to stay out of the room when I'm creating. So when it's time to put on that editor hat, that's when I start looking at and evaluating, is everything I have great? Does everything point to my title? Did I use the right pronouns, or did I change things up? And I'm making sure my communication is clear and all that kind of stuff. When my editor gets through, I put my creator hat back on, and like you, I start going, okay, now creator, where the problems were, and so let's start working on creative solutions to those.
So I started talking about the editor side in the first segment about creator.
Yes.
So if I was as good a podcaster as I am a songwriter, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have mixed them up. I would have held off until this segment and talked about going back and finding those hooky parts.
You need to give your editor a treat and have him go off in the corner until you're done. No, but I think keeping, the creative sides of our brain and the analytical sides of our brain don't often play together well. And that's why I found that just thinking of it that way of kind of just keeping them separate and knowing when to call in the editor, knowing when to excuse the editor back out of the room, I think is really helpful to me.
What about, some people go, well, I'm just not a good editor. My thing is I spit out the creative stuff and then my co-writer edits. Is that something that is good to rely on someone else to do the other part that you're not good at? Or do you think we should learn to do both?
I think it's a good thing to learn some things about both, but I think it's really great, though, when people understand that they're better at creating than editing and they go seek help, because we're not all great at everything. So some people can't really get out of that creative side. And I think a lot of times what they're saying, too, is that they write it all out and they love it because they created it and they can't see the flaws in it, And so a lot of times I will have a co-writer that does that for me, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't even see that because I love this baby that I created, So I think a lot of us do that kind of by default or just kind of naturally, that we edit each other so that we can make everything as good as it can be.
Yeah, and I think this advice of wearing the different hats really, where I think it's most helpful are to the people that I have students in my melody class sometimes. They'll go like, well, what do you do first? Do you write the chorus and do you try to like sing up really high in the chorus knowing that your verse can't be this? And should I put in the hooky rhythm in the first bar and then repeat it? And, and it's such a mental exercise. So I think this philosophy of wearing different hats is really best for those people because they need to get out of the way and let the creator come through.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, it's going to sound forced.
Yeah.
I mean, the best writing sounds natural. So I think, but you have to step back. You need to spit out something natural, step back and go, okay, is this good or not? And then keep working on it till it's better. But I think it really helps people that overthink a lot.
Yeah, if you tend to overthink, it's really important to learn how to let that part of your brain have a rest. I think a lot of the people I work with or mentor, they will analyze it to death so that all of the heart gets out of it. And, maybe it's technically perfect, but you just don't feel it anymore, And so I try to work with them. And one of the things that I've discovered helps them is if they can learn to trust that editor is going to get to come back.
Right.
Like, this is not permanent what we're doing here. It's like the editor is going to get to come in, but just not right now. And I think that relieves the anxiety because I worked with a lot of people that are like, well, I couldn't let it go because I needed to know if it was an and or a but right there in that spot. And I'll say, well, could you have waited till the end of the creative process to analyze that?
Not if you have OCD.
And yeah,
you have to fix it right away.
Yeah, but what happens a lot in co-writes especially is that it interrupts the creative flow,
Right.
Two people in the room are in this creative flow maybe, and one person keeps stopping to analyze something.
Right.
And then it's hard to get back in that creative flow. So, learning to trust that your editor has a time and place, it's not going to be ignored, but let the creative process go and then bring the editor in, I think helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
That third hat, you want to talk about the third hat?
Yeah.
So the third hat, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we have a lot of viewers that they never want a career in music. They just do it for fun. And that's great. I mean, I started out doing it for fun for 20 years before I became a professional songwriter. Mm-hmm. So I understand. I love writing songs. But even if you're doing this for fun, if you ever post your songs on social media and you want to get a little income from it, we got to understand the third hat.
The business hat.
The business hat.
Yeah, and I think of the business hat too, not only as like the music business, but what's going to happen to this song after I write it?
Or even when you're writing, if you're co-writing with someone, do you have equal shares? Mm-hmm. Does somebody go, well, I wrote more of the song, so, I need more of the share, mm-hmm. which is, not the way we do it. We tend to do equal shares. But all these little things can come up even before you start writing with someone, so.
Yeah, so it's, don't think of the business hat as only being, well, I'm trying to pitch songs to major artists. Right. There's business once you create a song. Do I copyright it? Do I not copyright it? Do I put it out on social media? Do I have it distributed to Spotify and Apple Music and all the places? So understanding how the business works is a third thing that songwriters need to understand. And feel like, well, where do I need to register my songs and all those kind of things? So,
You know what we should do? We just finished a course in SongTown on the business side, and there's a PDF checklist that comes with that. Maybe we can put that down below for you guys, where you can download that. And
yeah,
I think that'll be very helpful because it just covers exactly what you're talking about. I write a song. Do I need to copyright it? Where do I need to register it with ASCAP? Do I need to get Sound Exchange involved? Like, there's all these things if you want to post your song online and be able to make a little money off of it, you've got to have all these things on the checklist marked off.
And, very few people just write a song just to have a song.
Right.
And just, it's on my hard drive. And that's all I ever want to do with it. Most people are wanting to play it for someone in their family, or they're wanting to, release it, or they're wanting to have their friend record it that has an independent album or something like that. So learning that business is a skill that a lot of songwriters are not naturally great at. I mean, I think we're better at creating and editing a lot of times than we are at the business side. So, just educating yourself of like, what do I need to do now to protect my song, but also to, like you said, make a little money on the song, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, I've written with artists that have put out songs. They've gotten millions, indie artists without big record deals. And they weren't anticipating it, but people start liking the song. They start getting a lot of streams. And then all of a sudden you have a nice little royalty stream coming in from it that if you didn't do all the business stuff right, you wouldn't be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's lots of books that can help you educate yourself about that. We have a lot of courses in Songtown or videos about it. So the important thing is just to educate yourself about what needs to happen after you write the song.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.
Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching. If you appreciate the content, hit the subscribe button and help us grow. Shout out to Sweetwater Music. It's where Marty and I get all our musical gear. Great people. We'll see you guys around town. Right on.